Chapter 298 kicks off with Nagi tightening his gloves, that now iconic deathly skull aura flaring up from behind him as a clear sign he's fully locked in. Without hesitation, he tells Reo straight out that he doesn't need him to pass to him anymore. Then, looking directly in his eyes, Nagi doubles down. He won't be passing to Reo either, and he's still gonna win. Reo is left stunned by the sudden shift in energy. Reo quickly tries to stop him, reminding him that if they don't score the next goal, it's over for them. But Nagi doesn't even turn around. He shuts that down fast. Us? No, it'll be over for me. With his back still facing Reo, he points out the truth. Reo already secured his survival with that last goal. That pressure is no longer on him. Reo still insists that they be stronger working together, but Nagi is not buying into that anymore. That formula, the one built on dependence, will not work for him. With his back still turned, Nagi starts walking away towards Agi and Tigiri, leaving Reo behind. He explains calmly that when Reo is around, he ends up depending on him too much. But now he finally understands. That kind of football built on comfort won't make him the best in the world. Reo has already shown he can stand on his own, and now Nagi needs to prove that he can too. With the match tied at 2-2, the Master's off the pitch, and the next goal deciding everything, Nagi starts to feel something he's never felt before. Fear. He's scared. Not of losing the game though, but of losing Reo. The final restart of the match kicks off with Batoda receiving the ball, and right out of the gate, Nagi bursts into a sprint, charging up the field. From behind, Reo streams out his name, trying to reach him one last time. But Nagi does not stop. Batoda flicks the ball back quickly, and Nagi closes in fast, completely locked in. He clenches his resolve, pushing the fear deep down and urges himself to turn that fear into fire. If he's gonna become the best, he has to keep fighting no matter how alone he feels. He explodes off the ground, lifting high into the air to intercept Batoda's pass. Landing smoothly, Nagi does not hesitate. He immediately sends a pass over to Agi, catching him completely off guard. Agi grins wide, throwed as he fires the ball right back. Nagi's finally playing active, self-driven football just like he urged him to. Without missing a beat, Nagi changed the ball forward to Chigiri. He yells out to go full force and hit Barcher with a fast, direct attack. But Nagi's mind is somewhere else at the moment. Even as he runs, his thoughts are consumed with the idea of losing Reo. Chigiri sends a clean cross right back towards him, putting the ball and the spotlight right in Nagi's hands once more. But the defender closing in tight, Nagi makes the quick choice to trap the ball using his back, to then let it roll smoothly from his right shoulder to his left. Keeping his momentum flowing, he leans forward into a sprint and heel flicks the ball over his head. And through all of it, his mind keeps drifting back. He never thought a future like this would exist. A game, a moment without Reo right there beside him. Nagi slips a clean pass to Agi, who instantly redirects it back, setting up a perfect opportunity as Nagi pulls his leg back. In his mind though, his thoughts aren't just on the goal. They're still on Reo. His desire to stay connected doesn't just disappear. He still wants to be by Reo's side. Not as someone dependent, but as someone strong enough to stand next to him willingly. Just when it looks like he's about to unleash a shot, Nagi fakes it. Instead of firing, he delicately pops the ball right back up in front of him, catching the defender off guard and buying himself that crucial split-second window. His eyes light up, crystal clear and sharp. This is the new Nagi Seishiro. He'll become someone who can dream of being the best in the world. Out of nowhere, Otoya Ida appears right in front of Nagi, staring him down and asking coldly what stage of this fake folly is it supposed to be. Behind Otoya, Barcher's defense snaps into formation, closing in like a net. Otoya makes it clear to him that they've seen Nagi's iconic 5-stage volley from the Bayern Munich match, and there is no way they'll let him pull off that same miracle again. Nagi stands frozen, stunned that his fate didn't land. They saw through it. He looks towards the top right of the goal considering a shot, but reality hits fast. 3 defenders are closing in, and Otoya's already charging at him like a blur. Nagi tells himself he can do it. He tries to believe it, but as his eyes fade into white and dark text bubbles appear, his real emotions surface. He's scared. Deep down, he truly believes Otoya will take the ball. Otoya charges in fast, and Nagi, caught in the moment, tries to shake the fear. He keeps telling himself, I can do this on my own. Then from the left, Reo's voice cuts through it all. He screams out Nagi's name. Nagi's eyes widened, the ball hanging in the air just inches above his foot. Instead of clinging to fear and being alone, they can move forward together. He sends a sharp, clean line pass to his left, where Reo Mikage is already sprinting forward. Nagi, meanwhile, excels deeply. His eyes now blank and quiet, lacking any aura at all. But that pass to Reo, it never arrives. Batoda Meguru explodes into the air, intercepting the ball mid-flight with perfect precision. As he lands eyes locked on the Nagi, he drops harsh truth. And Blue Lock, survival means learning how to be alone, even if it kills you. At the same time, Batoda's updated bid is revealed on screen. 120 million yen, landing him at 5th overall. Batoda looks Nagi dead in his eyes and says it plainly. He's failed as an egoist. Batoda tears up the pitch, flying past Reo and weaving through 2 more man-trying defenders with ease. As it dribbles, the final top 23 rankings begin to flash across the screen with the sequence, synced to the momentum of his play. 6th place, Chigiri Hilma, 60 million yen. 7th place, Reo Mikage, 78 million. 8th place, Kurigami Rinsuke, 66 million. 9th place, Otoya Ida, 63 million. 10th place, Oliver Aiku, 60 million. And 11th place, Karasu Tabito, 55 million yen. With the ball returning to him, Batsuto explodes into the air, his eyes glowing in the full flow state, as Agi and the other defenders continue to rush in and close the distance. As this unfolds, the auction screen continues to update alongside him, showing the rest of the top 23. Kakamaru claims 12th, followed by Ryu in 13th and Yukimiya in 14th. Behind them, Nico, Hiyori, and Sindo fall into 15th through 17th respectively. Kurana shows up at 18th, with Zantetsu close behind the 19th, and Fukaku again sneaking in the 20th, and 21st sits Raichi, and just above the cutoff is 22nd. The borderliner Kiura Gen. With perfect timing and full control, Batsuto swings his foot through and buries the ball into the back of the net, securing a 3-2 victory for FC Barcha, and locking in a brace for his own. The match is finally ended, and the scene shifts, brought back to Isagi's perspective, standing on the field and staring up at the massive auction board. The final bids have all been processed. The screen scrolls to reveal the 23rd and final player to make the U20 roster, and we see the letters NA for a brief second. It looks like Nagi Seishiro has just barely made the cut. As the full screen settles, the truth and reality hits us with the final page. The 23rd and last spot goes to Nanase somehow, with a bid of 25 million yen. Izagi stares up at the board, his expression frozen, before his eyes slowly drift downward. And 24th place, just below the cutoff line, is Nagi Seishiro. The genius has been locked off, and Nagi is out of the U20 Japan national team.
Still hungry for more? Subscribe and devour the next play.
The chapter begins with the narrator announcing that the Spanish team's victory has confirmed the final rankings in the competition. The scene shifts to show the reactions of various players as they learn their rankings. Players such as Nanase, Raichi, Zantetsu, and Kiora express relief and joy upon discovering that they have survived and secured their positions in the competition. However, Tokimitsu, who is ranked 25th, appears visibly upset by the news. Ego then proceeds to announce that those who did not make it into the top 23 are no longer needed in Blue Lock, and they are asked to lock off. Isagi confronts Ego about Nagi's absence on the list. Ego explains that Nagi's performance in the match was uneven, with both impressive and disappointing moments, leading to a discrepancy in his abilities. Ego justifies Nagi's placement by stating that his relative salary accurately reflects his current performance level. Reo, unable to accept the ranking, pleads for a redo, arguing that Nagi's talent is recognized and that he possesses the ability to perform miracles. He believes that Nagi's greatness should not end here, and argues that his genius should be acknowledged. Reo pleads for a recalculation of Nagi's ranking, expressing his disbelief and denial of the situation. Ego firmly rejects his request and tells him to shut up, reminding Reo that this is a place for creating the world's top talent, not for coddling and compromising. Ego bluntly states that Nagi's talent has already faded away, much to Rio's surprise and disbelief. Ego explains that talent is not about believing in one's abilities, but rather about proving them. He adds that talent is constantly changing, influenced by various factors such as friends, rivals, goals, and feelings. Ego then mentions Nagi's fake volley in the third match, stating that it was an unexpected display of power that exceeded expectations. However, Ego chastises Nagi and his teammates for creating an illusion of talent and not properly disciplining themselves to meet those expectations. Ego states that Nagi fulfilled his dream of defeating Isagi, but the main reason why his talent withered away was not due to fear or despair, but rather due to satisfaction. Ego criticizes Nagi for relying on luck to win against Isagi, and states that his desires were not strong enough. Ego explains that Nagi had the opportunity to overcome the setback of teaming up with Reo, even if it meant experiencing pain and loss, but chose not to do so, instead relying on Reo's efforts. Ego then accuses Reo of continuing to water Nagi's talent, even after it had already withered, with no hope of revival. Ego continues his criticism of Nagi and explains that his desire to be the best was limited to defeating Isagi and didn't involve any deeper fire or passion. Reo begs Ego to stop, but he continues, stating that Nagi was satisfied with what he had achieved. Ego accuses Nagi of being scared of losing what he currently had and not having the burning desire to reach further. Ego affirms that Blue Lock is only for crazy dreamers who won't settle for anything less than the world's top spot, and tells Nagi to leave and go home. The final panel shows Nagi addressing Reo, acknowledging their unfulfilled dream. The narrator notes that Nagi is speaking to Reo in the midst of the current situation, potentially hinting at a conversation between the two characters.
Still hungry for more? Subscribe and devour the next play.
Chapter 300 begins with. We then get back to both Nagi and Reo, where we see that Nagi is still sitting comfortably down on the ground, while Reo is standing by his side crying. Nagi thinks back to one of their earlier moments and calls out Reo's name. He starts to get up and says that he has no regrets. Nagi explains that it's just like Ego said, and that he was satisfied. He's finally standing beside Reo now, and he tells him that to win against Isagi and play soccer with Reo forever, only having that would be enough for him. However, he himself admits that a dream like that wasn't nearly enough, thinking that to survive in Blue Lock, his dream was too small and too childish. Nagi starts to scratch his neck and says that if that time he hadn't won against Isagi and gotten angry, and if Reo wouldn't have spoiled him like he did back in the Manshine City vs Bastard Munchin game, then just maybe the future would have looked different. Hearing those words coming out of Nagi only makes Reo more emotional, and he starts to cry even more. But even then, Nagi continues and apologizes to Reo, saying that rather than wanting to become the world's best, he was more scared of losing Reo in the end. Nagi then starts to look down towards the ground and apologizes for not finding a new dream. Even after Reo managed to become strong on his own, Nagi chose to still pass to Reo, so he apologizes for that and for not taking that shot against Otoya. He continues and is about to apologize for not keeping his promise, but then Reo goes forward and puts his hand on Nagi's shoulder and tells him that it's enough. We then see Rio's face, and he looks absolutely destroyed and crushed as he tells Nagi to not apologize anymore, and that Nagi didn't do anything wrong at all. Nagi then looks down towards Reo, who continues, and even though Nagi didn't like soccer at first, he still tagged along for Rio's dream. Reo continues, and Reo apologizes for forcing Nagi, and says that he's sorry for making him try his best. He tells Nagi that he doesn't have to do that anymore, telling Nagi that it's alright, and that he shouldn't apologize for anything. Nagi just looks at Reo with a stone face before he grabs Rio's hand and says his name. He puts away Rio's hand from his shoulder and holds his wrist and tells Reo that he was happy. Reo looks a bit shocked but relieved while hearing that. Nagi then tells him that Reo is pushy, selfish, and scared. However, when he was with Reo, Nagi was able to meet the new him many times, explaining that he got fired up by soccer all the way back in the first selection, and that in the second selection he also became frustrated and lame too. Not to mention how many cruel things he said to Reo, but even then, in the Neo-Egoist League, he knew that the feeling of winning felt extremely good. But even then, he still kept thinking about how lonely he would be without Reo. Those words just hit Reo right to his chest, as it even got dark around him. Nagi then continues, and says that Reo showed him the light, and even though he was a pain, everything that came after Nagi met Reo, he will treasure it for life. We then see some of their sweet moments together, mostly from their school days. Reo continues to cry, but Nagi then releases Rio's hand and tells him that probably he lost because he started thinking like this, and because he valued being with Reo more than anything, and because of all that combined, he stopped being a genius. He then tells Reo that if they had just passed by each other that day, then they would have surely become stronger and maybe even the best in the world. As he says that, we can see the vision of them winning the World Cup together slowly, but surely fading away as Nagi tells Reo that their world's best ends here. Nagi, while looking more nonchalant and stoned-faced than ever before, puts his hand on Rio's head and says goodbye to him. While holding onto Rio's head, he tells Reo to become the world's best on his own, and hearing those words is just too much for Reo to handle, so his tears can't stop rolling down his face, and he looks so sad. However, there's of course one more player who's looking intensely at this, and that's of course Isagi, who screams Nagi's name as he is walking away. Isagi looks shocked as he is seeing Nagi leave. However, Nagi waits up and looks back towards Isagi, who actually starts to cry, and his aura starts to appear around him as he screams at Nagi not to quit soccer, as we see him in the next panel. With that, Blue Lock Phase 2 and the Neo-Egoist League are completed, and as Nagi walks out of the loser's gate, we see that the next phase is, of course, the U20 World Cup. We also see both Reo and Isagi crying their eyes out as they are watching Nagi.
Still hungry for more? Subscribe and devour the next play.